All right, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good and had a good July 4th. So it's been about 2 weeks since we've been here before, so good to be back. All right, so the purpose of Stock Analysis Friday is for me to take a look at any stocks or ETFs that are interesting to you or maybe have been suggested to you. And what I'll do is take a look at them from a technical standpoint using our proprietary tools. And of course, that's the ART software and so forth. All right, so before we get going, just a few quick administrational items I'm going to switch over to. And of course, the first one is the risks involved in trading. We need to cover that just to be sure you're aware of the risks in trading the financial markets. It's something that you can't really eliminate, but of course you can educate yourself to understand how to control those risks as best as possible when we trade the financial markets. There's always a possibility when you're dealing in a realm of the markets dealing with probabilities to lose some or all your money. So if you use risk control and control your risk on each and every trade, that definitely puts your edge on your side. So learn how to do that. And I've got a couple of books coming out in just a minute. I'll show you that can help you do that. Also, too, don't trade with money you can afford to risk to trade. That's really important as well. And also, too, I'm going to be looking at a bunch of stocks for you, but run them by your financial advisor. If there's anything here I'm suggesting or think may be good, just check with your financial advisor or whoever manages your money to be sure they're suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation, and they certainly should. All right, anything else I can tell you? Past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, and I think we all know that by now. All right, so a couple books I think everybody should have on their shelf is money management books. Whether they're mine or somebody else's, know how to do money management. I've written 2 really good books on it, and they're in front of you there. I also have my brand new book called The Art of Trading that came out this year. And that book, I think, is the best book I've written to date. It's a big book. It's about 608 pages, but it covers everything. So you may want to check that out. And then for those that want to learn about the Elliott wave techniques, which is a specific form of technical analysis, my book, Elliott Wave Techniques Simplified, published by McGraw-Hill, is available. And then I have the Survival Guide for Traders as well, which is a great book for people just starting out as well. All right, so I'll put some links for these books into the recording area description. All right, so software we're going to use today is software that we've been using for a long, long time that I created quite a while back when I was managing money for a major institution. And it's the ART software, the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI indicators, along with scanners and risk control software. Again, I will put a link at the bottom for you. All right, and then of course, in order, everybody says this when you're on YouTube, give us a like. All right, I guess that's standard. All right, so I'm going to come out and just cover real quickly the overall market before we get into the individual stocks here. And I'm going to start with the Dow Jones here. A couple things I want to point out here. All right, so we've been waiting for it. I don't know if you can see, hopefully you'll see this clearly on your end, this gray box that we have up here. Okay, and let me know if you can't see that clearly enough, but that gray box represented an area of what we call structure from a technical standpoint. And usually structure can act either as support or resistance. And the key for this move up is it had to get above there, because it could have very possibly gone up there if it was a weak move up, bounced off and headed back down. Well, that wasn't the case. It really bolted right through it. So now it's acting more as support on an uptrend. And so I think that is kind of an important thing we were looking to have happen when we were actually seeing if this trend was going to make definitive new highs. It hasn't yet on the Dow, but it has on the NASDAQ, and it has on a variety of the other markets like the S&P and even Bitcoin. I do want to show you Bitcoin in just a bit as well. Hopefully you guys were able to buy that during the buy period we were suggesting. If so, you did really well on it. All right, but back to the Dow here. My target on this, we're in the target area. Now this is the weekly chart over here. This is the daily chart here. So we're in the target area. This is what we call an Elliott wave target based on basically this trend that is considered 16 years old, which is unheard of for a bullish trend. Started back in 2009. All right, so when we look at this thing, that's the target. Now, 70% of the time it gets into this area here. 15% of the time it can actually go a little higher, so not unusual. 15% of the time it can fail and not hit the target zone at all. So it's in the 70% area. I don't see it slowing down for a while, so things look pretty good. But my suggestion here is be very careful and maybe even avoid long-term investments here. But if you're trading the market, you can do that certainly, okay? Because you're going to always be using stops if the market reverses. So are we heading for a bear market? I think it's out there, but I don't think we're going to see it for a while because the markets are still moving up quite abruptly. And, you know, I had said this earlier before. Others, I won't mention names, but others, even on YouTube, were mentioning that we were in the beginning of a bear market. And while I don't disagree that the bear market is around the corner, it's not now. It certainly didn't seem it, simply because so many big NASDAQ stocks that drive the market today were all poised to make an Elliott Wave 5 high. And many are approaching their targets now. So you can't have a bear market when so many of the big stocks like NVIDIA, things of that nature are still powerhouses moving up. So those have got to complete their cycle, I think, before really you can start thinking about a bear market. So we're in the target range. Anything can happen. You could have something come out of left field that we're not expecting. Remember COVID? Okay, you could always have something like that come out of left field to disrupt the process that's naturally flowing. But we're in the target zone, so anything's possible. But stay with it. Or simply draw a trend line if you want to, like I did on this chart here. All right, and as long as we're staying above that trend line, everything is okie dokie, right? I've got a couple support levels I've got listed down here, and we're nowhere near them. But if they get broken, then it's, you know, those are further things we have to take into consideration. Now, I do a really detailed analysis of the markets in a report called the Market Opportunity Report. I'll put a link down below. You can also go to our website and get it. But if you're interested in knowing detailed analysis on all the indexes, including Bitcoin, and you want stock picks that you can trade, that is the area that you'd be interested in. And it's not expensive. I think it's like $49 a month. So we have a lot of subscribers there. We're growing every day, every week there. But that's something you may want to consider, okay? But I do like to cover it briefly because I think it's a good idea when we're talking about stock picks to take a look at the overall flow of the market. The other thing I quickly want to look at is Bitcoin here, and then I'm going to start looking up the stocks you're putting in for me here. But Bitcoin here is doing what we had hoped it would do. All right, this was a buy zone. I don't know if anybody was here when I mentioned that earlier. I think quite a few probably were. So that was a buy zone, and this will be the sell zone up here. And we're kind of moving our way up to the sell zone. Notice we had almost a little double bottom, almost a head and shoulders right here, bouncing off that support. That support really was not so much structure this time as it was a fair value gap. So that formed right there. But if you carried this over, we had structure here. So whenever you have structure, it also turns into a fair value gap with the latest data. That's a very powerful area. So you want to pay attention to that. Now, we do have a yellow PTF down here. This is one of our indicators that's very predictive. It has a 75% probability rate that when it's green, we expect more highs. It was green, telling us we should break above here. And look, we did that, and we're at all-time new highs on Bitcoin. Target on Bitcoin right now is 127,000 up to 159. And also too, another target based on a little bit different points is between where it is now and 130. So I'm thinking as we get closer and closer to this area, just draw a trend line. Let's see it staying within that trend line. We do have bearish divergence on the weekly chart. Just so you know, I will be selling my Bitcoin when we get here. And you can certainly do what you want to do and talk to whoever you need to talk to make that decision. But that is a significant top, regardless of where you think it's going to be 5 years from now. So it may get to this area, sell off, and I'll buy back in. All right. But at this particular point, that would be a significant top between 127 and 159. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to stocks you want to take a look at here. Oh, wait, one more I do want to show you. Let's take a quick look at NVIDIA. I don't mean to hog the session, but this is kind of important because NVIDIA is another recommended buy that we had basically down in this target area here earlier this year. So you know, there it was, and there it's moved up. So we're on our way up there pretty strong. We're in the target area of one of the target areas of Bitcoin, and we have the basic target area of 170 to 224. And when we were down in here, in terms of an Elliott wave count, this is what I was talking about regarding the indexes, 3, 4, 5. So with a target above the old high back here earlier previously, even when the index is topped, it was hard to say we were in a significant bear market with an Elliott wave 5 bullish still to come. Now we're getting in that Elliott wave 5. So as I said, the indexes are approaching a major top. Bear market's around the corner, but this could last for the rest of the year, meaning the bull market. Okay, so we'll have to see how it goes. Again, just draw trend lines. You don't have to get so fancy. Just draw trend lines, and when these trends broken, then we'll talk about it. All right, Al, you are the first one up here. All right, 3 at a time, folks. Put in all caps like Al did, and then put in whether you are currently long with a question mark, considering a long, or short, or whatever you're doing here. Okay, AAP. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Oh, nice bounce off the bottom on this one. So Al, I kind of know what you look for, and I like it because it's what I look for. Basically, on a stock like this, what Al's looking for is a move down, break in trend, and then a bounce off the bottom, taking out any short positions and creating new structure to the upside. New structure means you can start drawing a trend line to the upside. That's the simplest way of putting it, because you're breaking the structure of the downtrend and creating a new structure up. Yeah, excellent. Okay, I'm liking it. We've got green across the board. Next thing to talk about is a target. And probably we'll go very basic with this. Now, this certainly could be a situation where, Al, you have a brand new trend here. There's a case here for a 3, thanks to our owl, 4, and 5. So we may have the end of a trend here. But what I like to do is I like to be a little conservative. All right, take that and draw a fib retracement. So even if the trend is not over, it should get to this area before selling off again. And a lot of that has to do with shorts covering, people thinking the stock is done. And so you got enthusiasm, buying enthusiasm coming in on both angles. So usually you can drive it up through there. So my target is 112, 164. That's a double your money here. And that is a buy. All right. So that's for everybody. So nice job, Al, on that one right off the bat. So again, here's a situation, another buy, and it will take a little while to get up there, of course. So I think another case for the bull market is still with us here. All right. So the next one is FRO. Bro. I don't think I've looked at this one before, Al. All right, let's see what you got cooking here. And this one looks like you're looking for an Elliott wave 4 bottom. All right, so here's kind of why I look at multiple time frames, but situation with this, let's take a look at this. So we got a bounce off a big bottom that occurred way back a long time ago. All right, based, kind of moved back up, and now it's moving down. So if we isolate this pattern here, all right, we certainly can draw in fibs. We went a little bit lower than that. Okay, a little concerning on that. Because you don't want to, it did bounce off it. So 15% of the time it can do that. We have a wave 1 possible high here, and we went below that. So I don't like that. And then we have a red PTF on the daily chart on the left, indicating more lows. So this is a no-go. Okay, no-go on that one. CS, maybe a short, if anything. CSBR. Give that a second to load. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got here. Kind of messy a little bit. Goes back to about 2016. We had a big decline here. So you're getting in early. Or maybe the next leg up if it can break the high. So 3, 4. This was a retracement way too deep for a regular 4. Okay, so that's my only concern with that. It's very possible you could get stuck in a channel here, especially with a bearish pin bar candle here that could drive it down a little bit. You could kind of go like that. I like it except for that. Let's draw a quick trend line in. All right, so, there it is. Okay, you've got a trend up and you got a green PTF on the weekly chart, which indicates we should have a high that reaches at least $12. Because again, what you do is you take the highest price in the green PTF, regardless of time frame, and that has a 75% chance of being broken. So that's a good sign. That means it'll take out this high over here as well, according to that indicator. All right, it's not 100%, but it's quite good. So if you wanted to jump in there, you certainly could. However, here's my thoughts on that. Is a couple things here. You've got a nice fair value gap right here. Okay, that's actually bullish. Okay, so there that is there. Let's see, we have one right here as well, down here. And if you guys don't know what fair value gaps are, you can look that up. You can Google it. But that's used in technical analysis and trading. It's also used in day trading a lot too. So when we have a situation like this, it's possible, all right, more likely we're going to pull back at least to this one. We also have structure here that may keep it going from going down there. I have found in today's markets, we usually go down to the order block, which is going to be right here. Okay. So I think probably this is not a bad one. If me personally, with this pin bar, I think we got one more leg up. All right. I think maybe we could go back here. I would maybe put a resting order in here, okay, for a long order, or at least let it get down here and turn around before going in. But yeah, I like it. I'm going to put it down as, let's just see what we got here. We got there. We'd have to put our stop way under here. So that stop would be at 7. So you're talking 1.5 points to make 2 points. Well, okay, close to 2-to-1 risk to reward. All right, I'm going to put it down as a buy. All right, simply because of those fair value gaps are going to probably keep it from deteriorating into a bearish, significant bearish move. Instead, I think you're going to get a move to the upside. Okay, so that one's okay too. I think overall, I like AAP better. Okay, but this is certainly one I would consider. All right. All right. So Al, I think those are 2 good ones out of 3. Not bad, big guy. All right. Al, however, says I'm not done. All right, I'm back. PZZA. Now these are shorts he's thinking here. Okay, let's take a look at what he's got cooking here. All right. When I see a green PTF, no short. However, I'm not saying it's not going to come down, and I'm thinking probably we're looking at something there, but you're already close to the target. So we don't technically have a red owl yet. We need a red owl for a wave 4, right? But you're probably going to get it. You're probably going to get down in here. So that would be a 3. This would be 4, and this would be a buy zone. And then after that, up here. So I'm thinking a buy would be better than a short on this. All right. So I'm actually going to put this down as one for us to look at for a long trade next week. Okay. Don't do it now, but that could be pretty good. And as you can see, we've had a nice big move down here. Let's see if I draw this trend line here. So we kind of broke that trend line there, and we had a slight break in structure here. So I'm kind of liking that for a long trade, but I think it probably has to come down. And I don't think it's worth a 5-point trade. I mean, worst case scenario, maybe 42, but you're going to have to put your stop up here. So you got a 1-to-1 risk to reward, not worth it. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. All right. BGS. Let's see what's cooking on BGS. All right. BGS. All right, so we got the PTF going in the right direction of a short trade. Not too bad. We got a big fair value gap sitting right up there. And you've got a pyramid with a stop here. The next question is, where's the target? All right, is it worth going? I mean, you're getting in late on a bearish trend, right? I'm not saying it's not going down lower, because I think you're due for a second leg. So let's see if we can draw in a measured move here, maybe something like that. So I think your target's got to be about 278, and we are at 426 with a stop here. So yeah, you could take a short there. You're not going to be in it very long, but so what? All right, BGS short. Okay, and the measured move is your target. All right, now for most people, this will be getting in a little too late on this, but there's some things going for it based on structure that I like. Your major risk, if it gnaws back into the fair value gap before coming down, then you're going to get stopped out. All right, so if you don't like shorting, don't short, but if you like short, possibly an idea. So I will put this on the short list, okay, as a sell short instead of a buy. All right, INI. Let's take a look at that one. INI. Did I type that in right? It's not coming up, Al. Check it and see if you typed it in right. All right, let's keep going. Edward, how are you? Edward is a new user of our software, so great to have you here. And don't forget, Ed, we also do the client supports as well. All right, so VRT, the client support is something you get when when you buy our software or basically our courses too. But the idea behind the client support is to do just that, give you support when you're learning how to do this. All right, so let's see, you're up 40%. Well, congratulations on that. You had a break in the trend line here, okay, and then a bounce off there. So here was the original trend line. We'll be able to redraw this if it makes a new high. That is a bullish bar, okay? So that's a good sign. You had a nice move up. You know, it could pull back more, but I think basically that's all it's going to be is a pullback. However, all right, if it pulls back, here's the issue. You could go down to 101 to 83, okay, on a normal pullback. Or you have a situation here, probably you might have one more leg up. This is starting to form what we call a bullish flag, all right? And that long-tailed candle is bullish, okay? The bears tried to drive it down, and they drove it down to an area of structure, and it pulled back up. So that to me looks like we have a chance for another high before completing this move up. And this move up here is a little bit like a micro channel. Not really, because it broke the micro channel. But anyway, you know, that type of thing there. The tighter the channel, all right, the more flags you're going to have, bull flags. So that type of thing. But yeah, it's looking good. If you were using the pyramids, this would have yanked you out here. But you also have bearish diversions here. So I guess what I'm saying is you're at the mature part of the trend. Probably based on this candle bar, will go up one more high. You could always put a stop here below it if you wanted to. And if you don't mind traveling down with it, if it goes into a correction mode, you're looking at 102 to 83, okay? So I'll leave that up to you as how you want to do it, but I'm also thinking that this would be a buy zone again, so it would come down here and go back up, okay? That type of thing. All right, so good. Let's take a look, but you're up 40%, so you may want to lock in some profits on that. CRM, let's take a look at that one for you. This is Salesforce, I believe. You're down 9% on this one. All right, let's see what's cooking. Got a red PTF. That's concerning on both time frames. All right, so that means you can see on the weekly, it's a little clearer that we are in a correction. This is the highest owl in the sequence. So that, even though it's messy, all right, that's kind of a pretty strong situation that after this correction unfolds, you get another high to create bearishness. But you don't have bearishness here either. So that created it here. All right, so what do you do? Well, I don't think you're going to get a high on this before it breaks below here. And if it breaks below there, that's definitely going to screw up an Elliott wave count. So I'm thinking if you're down 9%, this thing could go down quite a bit more. All right. You may want to, get out since you're not out already. See if you get a rebound and maybe put your stop here. All right. Below that bullish pen bar. Because believe it or not, that's a bullish signal right there. And it's not unusual for them to come down and test it. You also had a fair value gap in here. So you may get one more move up before it sells off big time. So I think I would hold it and put my stop under this low here, which is going to be 254.50. So a couple ticks under that. And I think if that holds, it should turn around pretty soon. If not, then just get out. Okay, so let's see. All right, FICO. Okay, you're down 4% on this one. All right, so this one looks to me like it's completed a wave 3 on the weekly. So where is this going? Let's just go ahead and come up here like that. Yeah, it's good enough. Okay, so we're in the completion target here, but we could go down to 1,123, which is the lower portion of this. You're down how much? 4%. So you must have just gotten in a little while ago. And you have a red PTF. So again, it looks like we're coming down here. I don't see any. This is a pin bar. That's kind of interesting, and we're testing the bottom. So I guess I'd let that pin bar see if it can hold. So a stop maybe under this level here, but there's also equity sitting there. So even if they're going to run it up, they're probably going to take that equity out. You're going to get stopped out. So this one here, if you're going to stay with it, you need to put your stop below 1,123, which is way down here, and then give it a little room for equity taking here. All right, so I don't know if you want to give it that much room. Might just be better to get out. Okay, so that's FICO. Okay, all right, let's keep going here. Let's see, where the heck am I? Okay, Stu. Stu, hey Stu, San Diego Stu. All right, Stu used to live in, well, I used to live in San Diego, and I knew Stuart from San Diego. All right, so Stuart, let's see what we got cooking for you. Let me bring yours up there. All right, NKE. We've looked at Nike before, right? So let's see what's cooking here. All right, so green PTF, nice gap up. Hopefully you were in this for a while. All right, it's hasn't quite broken the major structure yet on the weekly. Doesn't mean it's not going to. All right, so here we want it to get above this weekly structure top here. You've got microstructure built there because you could draw a trend line. You've got this close to going green. This is good. This is good. A gap, you know, the story with gaps, market usually goes back and fills them. So we may come back down here before going up. So I think if I was going to play this one, Stuart, I don't know if you're long already or not, but I would let it come down to the gap. Since it's, you know, it's gone up for quite some time. Let it come down to the gap and let's see the behavior of it turning around first before going long again. You know, if this is a long-term holding here, okay, you've already retraced below the COVID low. Look at that. Unbelievable, right? So you've already done that. So you're kind of out of sync on this compared to the other stocks out there. So maybe that is a major bottom there, but that's the way I would play it, okay? MRK, I think you can find better ones actually, but if you like sneakers, go for it. All right, Merck. Let's see what's going on with Merck. They're all your blue chip stock. All right, got beaten down. And is it done getting beaten down? All right, well, it seems to have found some turning point here. We're still technically, see the pyramids on the weekly chart, guys? All right, so basically the way these work is you go short, you move your stops down here. All right, and your stop would still be short on Merck. So it hasn't taken out the structure yet on the downtrend. And yes, this is a good sign, but it's not a definitive sign. You also have a short still on this time frame too. So you got kind of an ascending wedge here, right? That's a piece of technical analysis. So if we get above the wedge, that's a good sign. And then what I would do is just draw a retracement between here and here. But again, it's not quite as good as what I'd like to see, okay? But could go to 96 to 100, which is not a bad quick move up for a short-term trade. But I need it to get above those pyramids first, okay? All right, and then Pfizer. You're turning into quite the pharmaceutical man here. All right, let's take a look here. Pfizer, red PTF here, off a nice long draft down. So this is a good one because probably anybody that's short or sold is done by now, right? All right, so this PTF still red. I don't like that. But look, if it gets above that upper level line, it's going to turn green. And if it does so, then that lights the way for a long trade. That's the way I would look at it. So when the PTF goes from a solid to a a red to a green or a green to a red, that's one of the 25% times it's wrong. All right, because obviously if it's red, we're expecting it to go down here. All right, so you kind of, so 25% of the time, it may give you a false signal, but still in the markets, once you've been in the markets long enough, that's 75% probability is pretty darn good, right? So in the case like this, we have bullish divergence building here. Let's just hold off on that. Even if this move up is real, you're going to get a pullback. Okay, so let's see if this changes. So we're going to put Pfizer on the watch list because I like it in terms of the potential if it's bottoming here. Okay. All right, so put that one on a watch list and let's move on here. Eleanor, how are you? BROS. And you're in this one long, okay. I know, Eleanor, when we were looking up some stocks earlier this year, we were talking about, because I think you've made some pretty good money. We were talking about more highs coming, and that certainly has been the case. So hopefully that's been able to help you. All right, so this one here, we kind of broke its trend line. It's kind of been going wacko here. Gene calls these wackadoodles when they do this. And you've got kind of this area here. We should break out to the upside. And we have a nice A, B, C retracement, move up, move down, not uncommon, and then we should go. All right, so I would hold this one at this particular point. I'm not going to recommend it yet for everybody because I am going to put this on the watch list because I'd like to see a green owl over here. And technically, it's still slicing down. I mean, again, just draw a trend line, right? All right, so I don't like to recommend things when they're still moving down, okay? But this bottom should hold. If this bottom doesn't hold, I will be surprised. I've been also surprised before, so don't, just because I say that doesn't mean much. However, I will say this, all right, that we do have a fair value gap sitting here, which should provide support on this pullback. All right, so that is a good area to watch. So another little bit further down, what is that, around 60 or so? Now, again, the order block for this move up was probably right about here. Okay, you can see it there. So again, I have found lately what happens is we go through the fair value gaps or go through them all for the most part, all of it, and then go down to the order block before turning around. So if you short-term trade, make sure you put those buys or stops, whatever, around the order block and below the order block for a stop, okay? All right, so that is BROS AMD. Let's take a look at this bad boy and see what's cooking here. All right, AMD, the power of the order block, okay, and previous structure right here. People will ask, well, why did this stop here? Because it's an order block area from back in here, okay? So usually if you look hard enough, you can find a reason why a market pivots and changes direction. You want to hold this, okay? Keep holding it, and no reason not to at this time. We should break the high of 230, okay? So when I see something like this and I see all these possible highs, this is why I don't think we're at the bullish market overall is not ended yet, okay? All right, now, CRWV. Did I give you this one last week? Because this is one I've been looking at. Take a look at this, okay? So this one here, I think, isn't this AI or something to do with AI? I can't remember exactly. All right, so I really like this one. And I'll like it better once we get into this gray box area here. So this gray box represents structure here, okay? Beginning of an order block here. And if we draw the fibs in, you'll see the fibs hit exactly where the structure is. Let me get the right ones. All right. So that structure sits right into the fibs. That's so powerful. I can't begin to tell you how much. So this is a buy zone, okay, with more highs to come. So if you own this one, keep it. But I don't think you do. I think you got a question mark after it. So you're thinking of it. But I would say if it gets into that gray area, and that gray area roughly is, let me just take the high of this price bar here, 123-ish to a low of 104. Okay, so there's a range. So you want to see it turn around after it hits that. You may get a pin bar, you may not. And then it should move up from there and make new highs. We have a bearish, which is okay. We have a bearish order block forming here. So the idea is that I would be a buyer in here because my feeling is we're going to get on top of that bearish order block. It will act as support on the way up. That's kind of what I'm thinking. If you want it to be ultra conservative, wait for it to get above the order block before going long, but you're going to give back quite a bit of points to wait. Okay, so I'm thinking this is really clear structure. Let's see. Now, this still has to go red, right, for this to be a wave 4. So we still got some more movement down. I think when it starts hitting the order block, that owl will go red. All right. So let's put this for sure on a watch list. Okay. And please bring that one back next week. Okay. All right. Ooh, Frank, good to have you back here. How you doing? All right. So FCX. All right. FCX. Don't know if you're long. But oh wow, look at this. This would have been a tough one here. Notice that on this one here, we had a nice trend up, but look at the PTF. It was red the whole freaking way up. Unfortunately, I would have passed on that trade because of that. I mean, I have certain rules I like to follow. You had a green one here, but when you have that kind of situation, green and red, then I stay out, okay? So it's very possible we could sell back down, all right? And then you'll look at it in hindsight and say, oh boy, I'm glad this was right, okay? So we'll see what happens. It also could turn green and be wrong, okay? So I would, on this one here, I wouldn't do anything with this. I think we've shown some others here, Frank, that might be better opportunities, okay? AMD, I think we looked at already. So we'll do that one real quick again for you. And this was one of the ones I think that maybe Eleanor had asked us. And this is the one where we found support here and we're bouncing off. Okay, so AMD is a better candidate for sure. All right, AAP. Yep, you're going way back there. All right, let's see. Al. Okay, Al's got SEPN. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so target on this, Al, looks like we looked at it before. So there's not much history on this, okay? So the weekly chart's not going to help us that much. But we're looking at $13.72, I'll be precise, up to 1964, right? Okay, so that's the range that this thing should be going. So I guess you can hold it. Now, you may get a pullback, but you can always draw a trend line. I don't know how much profit you're sitting in, but you know, you're in that area between 23.6 to 38.2% fib, where 15% of the time these retracements end. 70% of the time they go in here, and 15% of the time they go here. And if they go above the beginning of the wave 1, then it's a new trend up. All right, so that's kind of the way I would look at that. But I guess I would stay with it. All right, maybe draw a trend line, take some, you can scale out, you know, some as well. All right, Eleanor's back with MP. MP. watching. Okay. Are you long on this? I'm not sure if you are. If you are, wonderful, right? So big bar moving up should take out that high. That's a bullish situation. The only thing is we'll probably fill that gap at some point. So let's just see where we're sitting here on this one. All right. So looks like this was this week. When you have a big bar like that, a couple of things you got to be careful. Is it an exhaustion bar? In other words, this is going to form into a pen bar by the end of the day. If so, that's very bearish, or it could remain up, and that's very bullish. So it all depends how the bar closes. And that's one of the biggest mistakes people make, is they act on information before the information has completed, especially in day trading. You've got to wait for the bar to close in order to see what it really is, because you can get faked out. So far today, it looks like we're getting a very bearish pen bar up here, okay? So that means that that is a pen bar that stays. We go below that, fill the gap before maybe going higher. The other thing is this turned yellow, so that's a little concerning as well. All right, so I'm trying to decide whether you should stay in or act on getting out on this. Basically, this is not bearish divergence here. I'm taking more highs on this, okay? But don't be surprised if it fills that gap. Now, what you could do, all right, if you're currently long, you could maybe sell part of your position, okay, below that pen bar if it remains bearish, okay? You know, to scale out and then maybe scale back in, or just move that money to something else. All right, Applied Materials, AMAT. Applied Materials. I have a bittersweet memory of Applied Materials. Back about 30 years ago, no joke, I was trading this with options before I really knew what the hell I was doing, and lost a year's salary on it. I found out about risk control after the fact, right? All right, so let's take a look at what this is going. I was doing options on it. All right, so let's see what we got here. We have a nice retracement here. All right, red PTF over here, green here. We also have now a green owl over here. So I'm putting more weight on the structure than the red PTF right now in the weekly. Clear, 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 3, clear, up. All right, so that's kind of what I'm basing that on. Pyramids, you got 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2. So you got you can actually draw 2 trend lines in here. You can draw one there and a tight one here. Okay. In fact, you know, you can do it that way, or you can either draw a micro channel. Now, when you get a micro channel like this, something like that, I'm going to tighten it up right there. Usually, any pullback on this micro channel is followed by another leg up. Okay. So micro channels are kind of interesting. All right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. You may get a little pullback. So I would stay with this on the long position. And I'm thinking we're going to break that high of 260. Okay. So I would not be surprised if that PTF abruptly turns green. And then that would support the case that I'm making, that we're going to make more highs. But I do note that. All right. So maybe a little bit lower position size when you have a red one, but everything else looks really good. I'm not going to recommend this one because it's already run up so much, but look for a pullback with a bull flag. Okay. All right. That's AMT. Let's take a look at GCT. And GCT, we had this red line in here from before because we were looking at this structured bottom here. We were wondering if it was going to pull back down to there, but it didn't. Okay, so let me just take a look here. Nice move off here. Now I got to try to figure out where is this going. According to the PTF here, it's going above 45, so that's kind of nice. And you certainly could draw a trend line here. Okay. So my only issue with this is you're getting in on this swing up a little on the late side. I'd like to see it move back down to this structured area here because you have bearish divergence here. Let's take a look at this next week. Okay. I'm pretty confident it's going up, but it's possible you could get a pullback and be able to get in at 18 right here. And the other thing too is if you segregate, let me just get rid of this. On these legs up where you have an A, B, C, I don't like to get in on that C leg. The other thing too is that here's the 50% area of the move just above 16 bucks. So you're buying in the premium area on this leg up. This is the discount area. You kind of want to buy in the discount area or at least halfway back down. Otherwise, you're buying retail and the institutions are glad to sell you in the retail area. So I don't know, you can I would wait off. Let's put that back there for now, okay? All right, June, how are you? ACHR. ACHR. And let's see what we got. And he's looking at this for a long. Okay, green PTF, so I like that for a long. All right, we made a high here without bearish divergence, so that's a good sign. You got a pyramid trading point here. You got a little bearish divergence here, but not uncommon to get one more high, and you've had a good pullback. So I'm saying, yeah, this would be okay for a long. I'll put this down as a buy. I would put your stop probably just under this area here. All right, previous order block held here. So I think that pyramid's pretty good, or you can put it one tick under that previous low back in, what was that, June? You had two lows in June, so put it in the most recent low of June. All right, and then I would look to take profits here, okay, up here. And I say that because this is saying is the highest high in that green area. So you can make a couple points, and look, your risk is nothing. Risk is here, and you've got a good 2-to-1 to the target. So you're okay there. All right. Hey, good to have you join us. All right. Well, you guys got a lot here. All right. So Al gave me INI, and here's INO. All right. So this was a replacement for that. No worries, Al. I do it all the time. All right. So let's see what we got. All right. So we got bullish divergence on the weekly chart. I'm going to put this down as a watch list item simply because it's making new lows. Okay. So, and if you were already short, it's too late to go short now. I'd be looking for a bullish buy, okay, on this when this turns around. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap it up here. We're coming up to a little bit longer, but we've had so much fun. We've got finding so many good ones today, right? All right, so let me just take a look at a couple more here, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, NEM, all right, long. I would have liked you to be long earlier on this one, okay? It's a little bit mature on the current move up. You're buying in the retail area versus the discount area. And yes, you're about to take out liquidity here, but you may get a move back down off liquidity. So bring this one back next week, okay? All right, and let's see, PINS, and this one here. I think we've shown you some better ones. I wouldn't mess around with that, okay? All right, and Edward, let me get some of yours here. TWLO. All right, this is, you're up 17% here. We're seeing a little bit of a pullback here. Green PTF remains. So you could get a little bit of a pullback here. You got bearish divergence building here, right? All right, so you're probably going to pull back a little bit. Looks like we've gone under this support area here. So here's the deal. Let's blow this little move up here. And first thing I want to do is see where structure is right here. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is look at that. Look at that. That structure is right in the fib retracement area. So here's, I think, the way to handle that. You're going down there, chances are. So if you wanted to dump it, you could do it and rebuy it here. All right, so that's possibility for you. But also, I'm going to put this on a watch list because I want to buy it if it gets down to that gray area. Okay, so that represents structure here, and markets have a tendency to go down there. Plus, you have a few fair value gaps. So I think, and that's a fib retracement. So I think that looks pretty good. OPFI. All right, you're up just 5%. All right, technically don't have bearish divergence, but you might have the end of a 3 going into a 4, C wave 4 on the weekly, but not necessarily. All right. Again, you know, whenever I look at something here, all right, it's possible, you know, if you're going to hold this and you don't mind it pulling back, then you hold it. But if giving up, you know, you're what, up 5%, you'll probably go into negative territory here. If you don't want to do that, then dump it, okay, and move on. You have bearish divergence here. This is indicating more highs, so eventually you should get above 18. The question is do you want to hold it on this next move down before it, you know, goes back up? And only you can answer that. But that to me looks like probably coming down into this structure. Whoops, wrong device. This structured area here, it did it here and bounced up. So let's just draw a fib here. Okay, and so you're probably going to go down to that area. So you're almost down there now. But anyway, I'll leave that up to you. But that's really the bottom line, is if you're willing to let it go negative in process of getting eventually to new high. You know, there's a difference between short-term scalping in the markets and swing trading. And swing trading, you know, basically you've got to realize that you're going to have pushes up, take a breath, pull back, push back up, and so you got to be willing to handle those breaths where the market pulls back, even though it may still be in a favorable position for new highs. And I think same thing here, shop up 45% all along. Okay, so on this one, I don't know why I have these red lines here. We probably looked at it a while ago or something. But maybe just simply draw a trend line. Okay, if it goes below that trend line, take some money off the table. And are we going to make new highs? Well, there's nothing here to tell me we definitively could go and take that top out, because that retracement's way too deep. Okay, you could have a move down or a move up here. Got a nice V shape here. All right, so that's a good sign. Could take out that high, but again, if you're up 45%, I'd probably take some money off the table if it breaks that trend line, right? Okay, I think we're going to have to end today, but I think that's okay. I think I got everybody's. This is Gene's wackadoodles. That's when the market does things that it shouldn't. We call it a wackadoodle, and we usually get whacked. Okay, so there you have it. All right, so let me just go over the winners. Good, Frank, again, good to have you here. I'll leave Gene's wackadoodle up there. All right, so let me grab the list before we end here, and I'll go over some of the trades here. All right, so the good ones for today is AAP, CSBR, BGS, which is a short, all right, ACH, I believe it is R. I can't even read my own handwriting. I think that's an R. ACHR, all right, so those are the ones you can take today. On the watch list, we've got quite a few. PZZA, all right, long, Pfizer, PFE, BROS, CRWV. I circled that one because that one I really, really like. All right, I think maybe Eleanor, that was yours. All right, GCT, INO, and TWLO are the ones on the watch list. So good job, guys. I mean, that's quite a few good ones there. 4 good ones, one being a possible short. All right, so we'll see you back here next week. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, give us a like. Apparently that helps. My pleasure being here. Really good picks for everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the summer, and we'll see you back here. I'll put a little music on. I'll put the screen back up here, and you guys have a good one. Thanks so much, everybody.